right now.
Okay. I think we can see the number 27 participants, excluding Guillermo, Angelica, and I. That would be about 24. Is my watch is 2:58. What time is it in yours, Angie and Guillermo?
57, sir. We still got 3 minutes.
Sure, yeah, let's wait for those 3 minutes.
Standard time. Bogota standard time.
Exactly.
Just kidding. I am inviting group students and teachers, just in case.
Yeah, I
Thank you
think
very much.
it's open to all friends.
Everyone, right?
Yeah.
Who say hola, Profe Guille? Hola. Whoever said hola, Profe Guille.
Tiempo sin verte.
Hola, Profe José, ¿cómo estás?
Bien.
You can open your camera if you want.
Sí, estoy mirando, sino que no, allá. ¿Qué más?
There you go. How you doing, man?
Hello,
Good.
hello.
Hello. Yeah, well, so a lot, a lot of job, the course from the university.
Yeah,
So
we all have a lot of things. to do.
immersion week here. So
Good. Okay. Well, no, but it's really good to see you, man. Really good to
yes.
see you.
Oh, that is an interesting topic, the artificial intelligence. Also, I joined a group on Facebook in which they are only focused on artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's wonderful.
With the focus towards pedagogy and how to teach using artificial intelligence to students.
Wonderful. Maybe along the workshop today, you can share some of your knowledge with us, or ask some questions, or share
Absolutely.
some information.
We'll
right?
be asking you
That'll be great.
questions for sure.
There are like prompts engineering and other stuff. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we would love to hear your insights about this topic. That'll be great. I'm not the one preparing the presentation. It's Alexander Fernandez and Angelica Pinto. They are the ones, the masterminds after this, behind this. So yeah, I'm just here, I don't know, hosting, right? As an in-between.
To help us.
Yes. I was seeing Isabelín Martinez in Cali. They were saying hello. So
Isabel, Lina,
it's good to say
Fabian,
hi to
Ricardo,
them.
everybody, yeah.
Good. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
And
Hello,
everybody
Lina.
that is joining in right now, thanks a lot for being with us. Okay, we're gonna start in about a minute, right, Angelica? So I'm gonna close my microphone, so
Sure.
I give you the floor. Okay,
Thank you very much.
no problem.
Okay, so I think we're ready, right, Alexander?
Yes, we are. Like the Lobatos, always ready.
Ok, bueno, queremos darle la bienvenida desde la zona centro-sur del Instituto Virtual de Lenguas. Mi nombre es Angélica Pinto
Y Alexander Fernández.
y bueno, hoy estaremos compartiendo algunas percepciones y opiniones de expertos, académicos, amigos, colegas que quisieron apoyarnos dando respuesta a nuestra pregunta principal que hoy nos reúne, que ¿Is Artificial Intelligence Transforming Education?
Sí, sería, y es la invitación que hacemos desde ya, es como conectémonos con esa pregunta y vamos a ver diferentes respuestas, vamos a ver posturas con argumentos, posturas con opiniones, posturas de experiencia, pero sobre todo lo importante es que podamos construir o iniciar la construcción de nuestra propia perspectiva en relación a ¿Is Artificial Intelligence Transforming Education? Algunas
Así es.
de de las presentaciones van a ser en español, otras en inglés. Vamos a tener un ambiente bilingüe, a no ser de que hayan solicitudes masivas y contundentes que nos digan, no, quedémonos solamente en inglés o no, quedémonos solamente en inglés. Y si están bien los dos idiomas, guardemos silencio ahora y callemos para siempre.
Así es. Y bueno, como todos sabemos que la inteligencia artificial llegó para quedarse, pero pues con ello también llegan muchos retos, desafíos, oportunidades. Y hablando desde el campo educativo, desde nuestro rol como docentes, quisimos abordar diferentes perspectivas, diferentes opiniones, diferentes puntos de vista. Y por ello quisimos preguntarle a algunos expertos, a algunos académicos, profesionales en otros ámbitos, no solamente en Colombia, sino alrededor del mundo. Entonces les estaremos presentando sus respuestas. Ellos dieron respuesta a nuestra pregunta, la pregunta de nuestro conversatorio. Alexander.
Well, this is nothing else than a simple conversation among friends, colleagues, and people that just get together because we're interested in exploring these contemporary issues on education. So we have three main points. We want to know what do people think about how is this idea of artificial intelligence transforming education. Yes, we asked from I think Oxford to Nariño and from Holanda to Bangkok, and then we have some people from Bogota, some people here in Cali as well guessing. But most important, the second part is your opinion. We want to know here what we think about this idea of how is artificial intelligence transforming education. So we want to know the education, and we have three, I think, knowledgeable and very friendly spokesperson people today. We have three very interesting people that we will know their profiles and why they're here for, and what are they here for as well.
Así es, entonces, thank you. También les estaremos pidiendo pues su opinión en el chat y les vamos a compartir un enlace donde queremos que ustedes plasmen o transmitan pues la respuesta a nuestro conversatorio, y para ello queremos que utilicen 5 palabras clave que puede resumir cuál es su percepción y cuál es su punto de vista en cuanto a la pertinencia de utilizar inteligencia artificial en nuestras prácticas docentes, cuál es su percepción, oportunidades, retos, desafíos. Entonces, pues daremos inicio a este conversatorio con opiniones de diferentes académicos y expertos que recopilamos en este video. Entonces, vamos a verlo. Regálame un segundo.
Yes, Angelica is going to play it on. Once she has confirmed audio is okay for everybody, and then we're ready to listen to the world.
Yeah, can you hear? Yes?
Ay, camino, no, mana, no, chao, no, no, ¿por qué yo en moto? Chao.
Artificial intelligence can improve education in a lot of different ways, and just one example is an app called Just the Facts 101, which can read entire books or chapters and highlight sections and even summarize those chapters or entire books into small summaries of maybe 100 or several hundred words, which is a huge help to students, saving them a great amount of time and effort.
Good morning. Yes, I think that artificial intelligence is transforming education in a positive and also negative way, and it depends on how it's used in the classroom. Actually, it helps a lot to make things easier, but it also helps students to sometimes cheat on tests and workshops.
La inteligencia artificial en gran medida aporta a transformar prácticas en el aula, en donde el profesor pueda dedicar mayor tiempo a la retroalimentación en el proceso del estudiante y al mismo tiempo sacar la mejor ventaja de estas herramientas que están allí para explorar y utilizar.
AI is transforming education in many ways, and I think one Good example of it is the Metaverse, which is a platform where you can use avatars and you can discuss many topics about it. And also you can have real interaction in real time without being present. So in this sense, I think the AI is going to transform completely the way we see education and the way that we are going to develop new apps and platforms to improve our knowledge and our curiosity in many fields. Thank you.
My name is Adrian Larson. I'm a student at UNAL at the course Spanish for Foreigners. I think AI can help with improving accessibility tools such as text-to-speech or speech-to-text. I feel like these tools have already improved immensely since AI emerged, and they are tools that I use a lot in my everyday studying.
The integration of artificial intelligence in education brings many significant changes. AI contributes to the development of intelligent tutoring systems and virtual assistants, revolutionizing the way students engage with educational content. In summary, the impact of AI on education is profound, optimizing processes and creating opportunities for enhanced learning outcomes.
Hello. Yes, artificial intelligence is transforming education, and not in a good way. Why? Because students are using it in ways we could never imagine. Cheating on tests, using it in place of their own creative work. Even teachers are using artificial intelligence to create their own lessons instead of using their own creativity. The industry is moving too fast in ways we could never imagine. And we need to watch out for this so that education is not negatively impacted for both teachers and students. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. This is Aiko from Bangkok. I think AI will change the educational system drastically. Currently, the education is only for the people who can afford to pay the tuition fee. But thanks to AI, if the people have the internet, they can learn anything from AI. So the education will be not only for selected people, but for everyone, I think. Okay, have a good day.
Bueno, aquí pudimos escuchar algunas opiniones de colegas, amigos, expertos en otras áreas también sobre la transformación que va a hacer o que está haciendo la inteligencia artificial en la educación, pero pues como bien lo mencionábamos al inicio, también queremos saber la opinión de ustedes, nuestro público. Para ello les vamos a pedir amablemente que por favor se unan al siguiente enlace, donde vamos a resumir en 5 palabras cuál es ese impacto que tiene la inteligencia artificial en la educación, que lo hemos visto en nuestras prácticas docentes, en nuestro día a día. Entonces les vamos a pedir que utilicemos este código y también les vamos a compartir el enlace.
Cuando dices que 5 palabras.
5 palabras. Ya, les acabamos de compartir el enlace. Y la idea es al finalizar nuestro conversatorio ver cuáles son esas palabras, las que más se repiten, cuáles son los resultados, las respuestas que ustedes nos proporcionan y poder evidenciar pues qué preguntas o qué palabras similares tenemos. ¿Cómo lo vemos? ¿Como una oportunidad, como un reto, como un desafío?
Bueno, en nuestra primera parte, en las contribuciones que nos hacen nuestros amigos, profesores y demás, pues ya notamos unos. Por ejemplo, vimos uno del lado muy positivo como Access Tool, Being Original, y Open Education, to learn anything, almost anything. Pero también tenemos este otro aspecto de, puedo decirle una palabra, cheating, o también lack of being original, promoting this.
Creativity.
Son ideas iniciales pero que queremos pues primero primero despertar esa postura de lo que podamos tener y ya veremos qué nos dicen nuestros spokespeople and then vemos los resultados de nuestras opiniones.
de este público, así es. Y bueno, pues llegó la hora de conocer a nuestros invitados, a nuestros ponentes, pero vamos a dejar que sea inteligencia artificial quien los presente, nos va a contar un poco de la trayectoria académica y profesional de cada uno. Entonces vamos a escuchar.
Lina Maria Sanchez Betancourt holds a Bachelor of Arts in Literature from the Universidad de los Andes in Colombia and a diploma in Continuing Education in Arts and Science Communications from Mohawk College in Canada. She is currently a master's candidate in Translation and Intercultural Studies at the Universitat de Barcelona. Proficient in English, Spanish, and German, she has garnered experience working as a language teacher. Furthermore, she has worked as a translator, editor, and writer for various agencies, including DeepL, Enjambra Libros Colectivos, and Pantoglot. Her work has been featured in national newspapers such as El Espectador and El Tiempo, as well as on international platforms like TAS and AHUS.
Ok, entonces le damos la bienvenida a Lina María. Lina, ¿me escuchas?
Yes, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me
Yes.
properly?
Yes, we
Um,
can.
Loud and
so,
clear, yeah.
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm going to do this presentation in English, and my idea is to kind of bring some questions to the table, some questions that we might discuss now or in the future, hopefully. This is an ongoing conversation. That's my hope. I'm going to share my screen, so bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Yes. Thank you for the invitation also. I'm really happy to be here sharing this space with you guys.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I have you here. Do you see yourselves? Yes. No? Okay.
Yeah, we're just looking at your presentation.
Okay, great. So I will, this is kind of the title that I gave to the presentation. I was thinking about how to mix translation as well as education. And I think they have a lot of things in common, especially thinking about languages also. I highlighted these words specifically because for me it's important today to talk about we human beings, about the process of learning and how teachers are a guide for us students or for students in general, and how that role is vital for learning, and how I don't believe that people can do it by themselves. I think one colleague just said in the video that that maybe we all can learn from artificial intelligence just by ourselves. And I'm here to say that I want to take that with a grain of salt, because that could be, but that might not be the case as well. And then augmentation, which is the counterpart of automatization and transformation. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And let's see. Yes. So to answer the question that has gathered us today here, I want to kind of state another question that I'm going to try to answer throughout the presentation, which is, yes, artificial intelligence has transformed our way to teach, to learn, and to communicate. But the underlying question is, why do we learn? What's the reason why we start engaging in these learning processes? And I think that that's kind of my real answer to the real question is, why do we learn, right? So I want to start by talking about, let me see if I can just kind of, hold on, very good. I want to start talking a little bit about translation and artificial intelligence. And I think it's a really interesting topic because before I moved to a different continent, I was talking to my father about doing a master's in translation, and he said to me, like, why would you move so far away if we already have Google Translate and we have all these resources? And back in the day, I thought that the thing is, there were like normal translations that Google Translate was able to do and to perform, such as emails and just like small things. And I thought that there was the other side of the spectrum, which is like the translators who were creative and then they were creating something new. And after a couple of months, I've realized that the answer is a little bit nuanced. And I'm going to explain it as it follows. So we started translating when we wanted to understand other people, other communities, other cultures, but also when we wanted to dominate them. And that's very, very important. So translation comes down to ethics and responsibility, right? It depends on how you picture the community that you're translating from or into, that you create power dynamics. And then as a general thing, we have after the night, even though we've been translating since we were able to like communicate with each other, this profession became formalized, or got formalized in the late 19th century. And then in the 20th century, we created associations in ethics and technological advances that we have now. And I want to talk about them. They're on the right side, which is we have all this machine translation that is very interesting to think about, which is in English, we call them machine translation. But in Spanish, we named it traducción automática. And I find this very intriguing because it seems like we are not creating these kind of technologies in Spanish. That's really clear from the language that we use to refer to these new technologies. Anyways, that was kind of a quick note. When we have this amount of devices or like softwares that we can use, that we have rule-based, we have statistical, neural, which is those are the cool ones, the ones that we're really impressed with usually, right? That you kind of type something and then the final translation is really clean, is really neat. And then we have hybrid. And the question again is the question that my father had, and I think that we all have, and that it could be extrapolated to learning any language, which is if we already have these machines and these softwares that can actually do what supposedly a human translator can do, then why do we need translators? And the question is, again, in history, we need translators because it is a responsibility that we have with not only the content that we translate, but also the power dynamics that we have right now in the world. It's about ethics. And right now, as everyone can translate, right? It is very important that we have very good and responsible translators and very capable as well. What a translator is going to do is not what they did or what we did 200 years ago. We are going to now decide on different options that these softwares are going to give to us. That means that our role is more about responsibility and ethics. So how does this relate to education and education as a general thing, education and the teaching process that I think that is really interesting, really intriguing. And this is how I'm going to link these things together. I brought a lot of questions. But I think they're very, very, very important, and they are going to give us the tools that we need, or the spaces and the perspectives that could allow us to answer the question properly, or at least give more nuance to the question, to the answer that we're going to bring. The first one is, what's work? The second one is, what's education? Who is a teacher and who is a student? And let's start with the first one. What's work? If you say to someone, your friend, your partner, whatever, whoever you say this to, you say to them, I'm going to work. They imagine that you take your bike and then you go somewhere and then you perform several different tasks. Even if you're a translator, it usually implies that you're not only translating something, but you're also researching, you're also reading, you're also, I don't know, sending emails, receiving emails, talking to coworkers, etc. So this is very important also for education, which is work, and teaching someone or teaching something to someone is not a single task. And I think we're really happy about that, because it means that machines cannot take over our jobs, because our jobs are not a single task, which is something that machines can do until now. Maybe in a couple of years, we see that they can do plenty of tasks. They can decide on things that we thought were only humans, such as ethics. But we'll see. So far, they cannot do that. The second thing is, who is a teacher and who is a student? And I want to tie this with the thing that our colleague said on the video, which is can we actually learn without a tutor or a guide? And I think that the answer could be yes, but I think that the answer could be also that it's somewhat dangerous. Another colleague said that, and I think it's true, that the problem with artificial intelligence is that our students are going to cheat, and that our teachers are going to cheat. And that's true, and I think that that's happening already. But the problem with this is that students have been cheating for a long time. Of course, they have changed the way in which they cheat. They have now more finesse in doing so, and the results are better. But it doesn't mean that they didn't do that before. And it also posed the question to the teacher, which is, why are we creating content that is easily, let's call it, cheatable, right? So it posed the question on what is actually what we are teaching our students, and why do we create this space in which it's better to cheat than to learn? And that's not something I'm going to answer here, but it's something to keep in mind. That also brings us to something that I've always found tricky in education, which is how we measure that a person learned, how we measure the learning process. We tend to measure this process by measuring the accumulation of knowledge or the memorization of different processes. It happens a lot in math, for example, or recalling information, which is something that I tend to fail a lot about, but that's another thing. So how can we measure learning? That's kind of the question. How can we measure learning when accumulation, memorization, and recall is something that a machine can do way better than we can? So the question is, what are we teaching, what we are teaching, and how are we teaching what we are teaching. This has been only for, let's say, us teachers, that we have to kind of rethink why we're doing the work that we do and how we are doing it. But it also poses a question on the students, because students are also responsible for their process. Students are also part, they must take active part in their language, in their learning process. And if the solution they find to the challenge they have is cheating, that's really bad for them. Because if students believe that by cheating they're solving a problem and just making the teacher happy, that's going to be really bad. It's going to backfire, because if a machine can do what they can do, they're going to be replaced by the machine. And that's also a question to think. So if whatever the student can do is easily replaceable, they're going to be replaced, and that could end up with problems such as that they won't find a job, or that the job that they do is meaningless, for example. Let me see. That's a lot of questions to ask. And I personally believe that after all these questions, again, and it comes down again to ethics. And I think that a machine can teach you many things, including, I don't know, English and German and coding, etc. But they cannot teach you ethics. And I think that's where the role of the teacher plays a stellar role. I do believe that students need teachers, and teachers are not machines. I'm going to use something that sounds religious, but is not religious. It is, I think it used to be religious, but right now we can see it from a like perspective. But I'm going to kind of explain a little bit. This is from Robert Moore and also Carl Jung, which is the it has been, I think that many of you have, many of you know about this psychologist. The first thing is that teacher co-creates the universe, which is that the teacher allows us to make sense of the world, or of the world we live in. Robert Moore talks about two spaces, the profane and the sacred space. This sounds really religious, but it is not about that. The sacred space, the difference between these two is that the sacred space has a center, so we never get lost. If you get lost in the sacred space, you always know where to turn to come back to your center. In the profane space, there is not such a center. The sacred space, this center, could be something private and simple, right? This holy place, I think that many of us have it. It could be a journal, it could be a photo, it could be our own home, our mom's home, right? But it's this place, abstract place, in which we can come back when we feel lost. That's kind of the two things between the profane and the sacred. To be able to be transformed, we need to move from the profane to the sacred space. And to do that, we usually need what Moore called a leader, or a teacher, right? Or a magician. Carl Jung called it a magician. What happens when we don't have the right teacher to move us from one process to the other one? We become something else and we are unable to return. A great example of this is the military. The military creates warriors, but they are unable to bring these soldiers back home. That's exactly what happens when we don't have the right guidance. When we don't have the right guidance, we have these two other spaces, which is liminal space and liminoid space. In the liminoid space is when the single person, which is me, any student, tries to transform themselves, but they're unable to do that. I don't know if you have watched this movie, Into the Wild. The story goes like this. There is this young man who decides that he wants to, find true freedom, etc., etc., and he takes a van. No, I think he doesn't take a van, or like he goes around and he wants to reach Alaska, and he does reach Alaska, but he dies. And that's exactly the problem with liminoid space. Not only that people die, not literally, but the thing is, people have the knowledge, but they don't know what to do with the knowledge. People have the knowledge, but they use it incorrectly or for the wrong reasons, and then they create usually destruction. The difference between liminoid and liminal space is that in liminal space, we do have a master, a magician, basically a person who guides our process, who is able to show us what's the way in and what's the way out. And I think that's the most important part of the equation, is that we have to be able to transform the student. The student must want to be transformed, but they themselves don't have the key to transform themselves. That's why they need a teacher who can guide them. I'm thinking specifically about learning a language. And let's imagine that we want to teach someone English. First, the student must want to learn, because if they say they want to learn and they cheat, they won't learn. And I think that we have all gone through the process of like this student who says they want to learn, but they don't do the job. And if you don't do the job, you won't be able to learn. And then the other thing is that we need the teacher, not only to give them resources and materials and grammar and books, but to show them why he's doing that and how he can or they can apply this knowledge they're having into the real world. That means that teachers cannot turn their backs to whatever is happening in the world. We could be naive and imagine that if we close our classroom and we decide that artificial intelligence or technologies alike, doesn't matter, phones and I don't know, e-readers or whatever, won't have space in our room, in our classroom. It doesn't mean that the student is not going to go out and find all of this just right off the corner, because they will. So turning our backs is definitely not the answer, just because it's artificial intelligence surrounds us. Of course, it is scary because, especially if we have younger students, they might have more knowledge on how to use devices and software, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily have the ethics or the responsibility to know when to use it or how to use it or why to use it. This is a nice chart. I like it. So if you see in the green, in the tiny green part, which is we can automate several things, but if we're able to use technologies as we have, because we have computers and we have phones and we have e-readers and we have cars and we have motorcycles and we have several other technologies that we have acquired and we are now using on a daily basis. But if we're able to combine these two, we can do way more than if we are turning our backs to whatever is happening in the world and we decide that we don't want to deal with that. And we could run the risk that machines take over our jobs, our classrooms. So I want to come back. This is kind of how I want to finish. I want to come back to the question and why do we learn? And I think about this student who is learning whatever the language, and they may say that they don't need to learn because they have everything on their phones. But I do think that being independent from software and devices make us free. So I think that we learn because we want to be free. And that's it. And this is if you want to like check something else. And thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you have questions on or something. I don't know if you.
Thank you very much, Lina.
Thank you, Lina.
I think we have questions, but for sure, we'll share at the end of the session. We'll have a space just like to answer these questions. I'm pretty sure teachers have questions about it. It was really interesting. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Lina, thank you. Thank you so much. Indeed, we can take we can quote you from now on. I think that idea of that people have the knowledge, but they don't know what to do with the knowledge. It's a good thing. I'm aware that you say you will take it with a grain of salt and think carefully about it. Thank you so much. Very enriching. I think it'll be always good to have open questions and in the afternoon with more conversations, but time constraints lead us to have a next spokesperson. And please, audience, write down your questions. Please.
Thank you.
Don't let them go.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's listen to more teachers and colleagues, friends that share their opinions about our question. So we'll take a couple of minutes just to watch and listen to them.
Artificial intelligence holds transformative potential in education. AI tools can track student progress, identifying learning patterns and areas needing more support. Overall, AI's data analysis personalizes education, offering immediate feedback and empowers educators to focus on
sorry for interrupting. I don't know if the session is open for us to give some comments. Sorry.
No, we're moving to the next part. I believe that Angelica is just working on that right now.
Okay. So, okay, thank you.
She's just trying to move the presentation, unless she's having some inconvenience.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, but with the previous presentation.
All right. Give me a second, please.
Let's start it all over again.
What about now? Can you see the screen?
Yes, here.
All right.
Artificial intelligence holds transformative potential in education. AI tools can track student progress, identifying learning patterns and areas needing more support. Overall, AI's data analysis personalizes education, offering immediate feedback and empowers educators to focus on students' individual needs for more effective guidance and support.
Important as educators that we educate students on bias, limitation, and accuracy, which are the three biggest problems that can be found in AI. As technology changes, we have to change how approach technology, how we utilize technology, and how we teach students to utilize technology as either a tool or resource.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Les habla el profe Oscar Mejía, docente de matemáticas y de tecnología informática de la Institución Educativa Municipal Libertad de la jornada de la tarde. Bueno, ciertamente la inteligencia artificial llega a complementar todas las herramientas TIC que nosotros ya utilizábamos en los procesos de aprendizaje. Y como tal, la inteligencia artificial lo que hace en la actualidad es volver más dinámicos todos los procesos de enseñanza, pero también de aprendizaje y de evaluación, tanto para los docentes como para los estudiantes. Sin embargo, y siempre lo he dicho, estas herramientas de inteligencia artificial hay que regular su uso, hay que regularlas, porque de no tener claras unas reglas iniciales, unas condiciones, o de no tener claro una muy buena regulación, pues entraría en detrimento de todo este proceso formativo, tanto de los estudiantes y de todo este campo laboral y proceso laboral de parte de nosotros los docentes, ¿vale? Así que bueno, ese es mi aporte. A todos un abrazo, que estén muy bien, hasta pronto.
La inteligencia artificial transforma la educación personalizando el aprendizaje, ya que puede adaptar los materiales educativos según el ritmo de aprendizaje de cada estudiante, brindando experiencias más personalizadas.
The impact of artificial intelligence on education is both undeniable and unstoppable, and teachers and professors need to adapt their teaching style so that they don't alienate students who have already integrated this technology into their everyday lives.
Hi everybody. So the main question is how does AI to artificial intelligence does transform education? In my point of view, it can work both sides. Especially for teachers, I think it's beneficial because it makes more material available, but it can also be for teachers more complex because you need to distinguish between written by AI or written by a student. You want to always have written by a student. And for the rest, everything, I think for students, it can be positive in the sense that it makes it more easier for them to adapt, to get more exposure, especially in non-native countries like here in South America. But it can also makes it more a pitfall trap, so it makes it more complex to base you on your knowledge. Like smartphones, their knowledge is loosely based on what's on the internet or what artificial intelligence decides or proposes. So in my sense, those are the main things that are important for education and artificial intelligence.
Hello, my name's Tom Spain and I'm Head of Training here at Oxford EMI. I think one of the positive possibilities of AI is its ability to help with content delivery in the EMI classroom. In other words, if we have teachers who are teaching a complex subject through English, it might be able to help the learners understand what's being delivered in the classroom in terms of, for example, help with simultaneous translation, which can handle different accents and which can even handle the vocabulary of different subjects. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Well, let's hope that this can be a good driver for a big journey towards, exploring more artificial intelligence, but especially education. Now it's time for our second spokesperson. Please.
Yeah. Sure. So let's listen about his information.
John Howard Galindo is a TFL certified teacher with over 20 years of experience working in ELT as a coordinator, teacher, and teacher trainer. He holds a master's degree in digital marketing and a BA in business that has allowed him to understand education as a learning experience that needs to be approached differently. Throughout his professional life, he has been loyal to the promise of sharing knowledge to help others achieve better opportunities by using English as a means to do so. He has been teaching at all levels of both formal and non-formal institutions, having worked with students and teachers from different countries in Latin America, sharing insights to motivate people to change the world one step at a time. John has combined his expertise in marketing and business to make meaningful lessons that motivate learners to reach their full potential.
Okay, dear friend John, dear professor, welcome. And we're on you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I know that time it's like very tight today, so I would like to say hello from Santiago de Cali, everybody. And I would like to start, now that we have had like this introduction, I would like to start with a couple of things. Just give me a second. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, okay. It's still loading. Okay. One of the most important things that I have discussed different places in Latin America is that artificial intelligence is here to help us. I know that everybody's concerned, and we were students and we lived the evolution of going from the printed version of the books, those moments when we had to go to the library and then do some research just to complete a homework. And then we had to move to Microsoft Encarta. That was like really useful for a lot of things. But, you know, as a student, we just copied and pasted and we didn't analyze, we didn't do anything. Then there was the appearance of Google and all the things, and there was Wikipedia, and there was like a lot of, you know, like different things that were changing like very quickly that led us to the point where we are right now. So what is the idea? The idea is that artificial intelligence is here to help us, is to get machines to think like humans and to do things in a faster way, and to analyze problems from many different perspectives that we cannot see. We're living something at Universidad Javeriana right now, and it is that we're living a software that is called Darwin. Darwin is a software that is helping us organize over 10,000 students and I don't know, maybe 1,000, 2,000 teachers from the different careers and the different courses and the different things, and organizing all the rooms available at the different schedules. So there are a lot of there's a lot of information, there's a lot of data that has to be analyzed. And I had a very, very interesting conversation yesterday with somebody at the academic office, and they told me, John, it's amazing because in the past, it took us 3 months to organize the schedule, so everybody was like available, so the rooms were available, so the budget was met, so everything was organized. With the software, it took 27 hours running the process, like taking into account all the variables and all the things. And I think that when we see artificial intelligence in a way that they can help us predict different things, that it can help us model different situations and different outcomes, it can work. And in education, it has given us like a lot of different benefits. And I am like in favor of artificial intelligence for the following reasons. The first thing is that it helps us foster independence in the students. So if administered correctly, and this is one of the most important points, if administered correctly, if taught as a tool, not as the mean to do everything, it is a great way to help learners with the specific needs to achieve their goals, to achieve the different expectations that they have when they are learning something. I agree with some of the previous teachers and the previous professors speaking about the personalized instruction, because this is a way in which we can customize lessons so we meet a specific requirements for learners at different moments of the learning process. There is another way that I always share with people, and it is that it allows us to do a different type of assessment, to do an intelligent assessment. And I'm going to explain that in a moment about the intelligent assessment. The idea is that we can do assessment in different ways, and we don't have to spend the time that we should dedicate to teach, the time that we should dedicate to coach the students in the class, to grade a ton of notebooks, like what we used to do in the schools, that we have to grade like a ton of papers during exam times, that it was really, really time consuming. So if it can be done, okay, it's definitely a tool that will give us like quality time to spend with the students. The other thing is that it is a great way for language practice and reinforcement for those students who are learning a language. It is a way to tell them, okay, if you feel embarrassed about practicing with other people, if you are not willing to participate because you have like a kind of intrapersonal intelligence and you don't feel like sharing with other people, you can do it on your own using artificial intelligence. And I'm going to show you very quickly today how you can do that. The other one is, most of the time, we need access to different resources, and the resources are not accurate, are not appropriate for the level of the students, and the resources are not like the best examples of something that we want to explain to the students, or they are very complicated, so it is difficult. Virtual tutoring has also been a way to get the students to participate into different experiences. We have lived a lot of things after the pandemic, and I think that the pandemic helped with boosting all the different types of resources that the students can use to learn something, and they will eventually meet with a teacher, you know, like to guide the process. But most of the things that they're going to work, they're going to work on them independently. So I think that these are like some of the things. I heard something really interesting about the lesson planning and like eliminating that creativity of the teachers. And I have to disagree with that one. And I say, for me, it's time saving in lesson planning. Why? Because I have the knowledge, I know the students, even though I have a good prompting when I am entering the information into any artificial intelligence, I am the one who is in contact with the students. I know the specific requirements, and I know which elements are going to be adapted to my specific teaching situation. So this is a great way for customizing lessons and for adapting different materials for the level of the students, if we're talking specifically about the learning of a new language, okay? It is a great way to give wider explanations, to go deepen in some topics that the students find interesting. And it is a great way to motivate teachers to be more creative as they are seeing like, oh, okay, now this is including this element. I can use this activity that is project-based, and I can include this project, and I can include this task, and I can include this. So it gives the teachers like different possibilities to participate in that. Now, in terms of the language assessment, and I know that this is going to create a little bit of debate, but that is the idea. Most of the time, we have students in our classes that they say like, I'm not gonna pass one mistake on this student. I mean, he's been absent all the semester, he's been bugging in the class, he's been doing this and doing that and doing that. And when they do the presentation, we go like, yeah, that was okay. You know, you could do better. Yeah, but when you do it through artificial intelligence tools, It's free from bias. Okay. It's more flexible for the classes. So the idea is that if we have these tools available, we don't have to spend 3 days evaluating, speaking for all the students, but what we can do is that we can rely on these kind of tools with the necessary input. It will give us like a general idea. Then what we do is that we just confirm with those students that we say like, I don't think this one did this. Now, pandemic also left another very, very valuable lesson, and it is that we need to be sure that the students are taking the exams, that the students are the ones that are identifying. So think about artificial intelligence in education and in security for test taking. When you have a camera in front of the students who are taking the test, okay, and they have facial recognition software, and they have software that helps us recognize if they're listening to someone, if they have another screen right next to them, if they open another website, if they're getting help through a different device. I mean, this is something that is going to help us. And let's be realistic. It's something about cost efficiency too. Why? Because having teachers doing simultaneous interviews to students just to check pronunciation takes a lot of time, and it is very expensive for universities, for institutions, for test centers, for everything. So this is one of the ways that we can use. Now, for cheating prevention, and this is the topic. Everybody says, yes, my students are using artificial intelligence. Sorry, my students are using artificial intelligence to create their writings. Yes, of course, if they know that the tool exists, they will use it. But it is our responsibility as teachers to use it and to teach them how to use it. Ever since the appearance of ChatGPT, that was the first tool that appeared, teachers all over the world have been like, oh, there's no way. I mean, like, my students are going to use this and they're going to, no. You know what? It was something really interesting that about a year ago, I was in a conference with a Spanish teacher of the communications department. And what the teacher says, you know what I'm doing is I can't fight the evolution of things. Okay, it's like if we had argued in the time of the steam machines with the people who invented the steam machines. Okay, it's like if I had argued with the people who invented robots because they were displacing people from their jobs. No, what we did is that we specialize on different things. So if my students in social communication, they want to use it, okay, let's use it, but I am the one who is going to guide you on how to use it. So what the teacher did is he said, okay, I'm going to give you one article to write. You're going to write it on your own. Then you're going to ask artificial intelligence to write it. Then you're going to compare, and then you're going to ask artificial intelligence to check yours and propose different solutions and see if the different solutions or the different options are similar to the ones that are produced by a human. And what is the touch that we have from a machine, and what is the touch that we have from a human? So this is how we get to use these kind of resources. It is all about learning how to teach the students to use the tools effectively and not for cheating and not to depend on the tools, okay? Which is like the most important things. I always tell people, do not depend on technology. What if wherever you go, I mean, there's no internet connection, there's no access to a computer, there's no access to a mobile device. What do you have? Your brain. That's what I always tell my students. So I tell them, okay, cell phones away, everything away. Just give me the answer. Analyze, use this situation. And then it's where I tell them you can use the technology. Something that probably you have seen, because I have seen it in a lot of presentations about artificial intelligence, and it is the time that it took for people to adapt this. Netflix, 3.5 years, Kickstarter, 2.5, Facebook, 10 months, Instagram, 2.5, and guess what? ChatGPT, 5 days. But there is a winner that is not in this chart. Threads from Facebook Meta. And Threads took 24 to 36 hours to reach 1 million users online. Why? People are demanding to know what's new, what's trendy, how can I use this to make my life easier? So this is something that we have to keep in mind and something that we have to face as a reality. Now, there are different tools, okay? ChatGPT is not the only one, okay? There are more things with different characteristics. We have ChatGPT, we have Bard from Google, we have Bing from Microsoft, and I'm going to introduce you to a new one, if you don't know it, that is called Claude. Claude is from a group of universities in the United States and the United Kingdom that will also give you an alternative to the non-traditional answers. ChatGPT has one disadvantage, that the free version has information up to 2021. Bard uses information online and from different sources, and it's really reliable. Bing gives you the sources for different things, for different information, and Claude uses more academic vocabulary to give you this. What do we need to keep in mind? What do we need to keep in mind? This. And I know that time is very short, so I'm just going to share with you these links in the chat so you can use them. The most important thing is, please learn how to write prompts. There's something that is called prompt engineering that probably you have heard. And it is the more detailed that you are about the instructions, the more accurate the results will be. So this is a website that I found that I find really interesting that is called AI for Education. And AI for Education has in the educator resources something that is really interesting, that is the prompt library. What is this? Just a couple of things that you can use to get the prompts to make a difference, okay? Number one. Number two, what is next? What else do we have to do? Okay, we need to take advantage of all the different devices and all the different things. If I have, I'm just going to show you something really quick about rubrics, quizzes. I need to create a quiz. So I have this example prompt. I'm just going to copy it and see what happens with Claude. Claude has a characteristic, and it is that whenever you're going to create your account, you have to use a VPN, a virtual private network, to simulate that you are in the United States or in the United Kingdom, okay? Because it's only available over there, okay? I'm just going to show you the different answers that I get from the different resources. And you probably see that my ChatGPT looks a little bit different. And I'm going to do the same thing with Bard. And then you can see the difference in the answers. Okay? Great. Now, look at the answers that I got from Claude. 25 question multiple choice on colonial America for 5th grade social studies student, along with the answers. So far, so good. ChatGPT will give me similar answers.
Absolutely. Here's a multiple choice.
Okay, wait. That's part of the surprise that I have for you. And Bard will give me the answers with different options. How can I take advantage of this? Once I have the prompt, once I have the origin of the questions, okay, I double check if the source is reliable or not. So that is something that we cannot do with ChatGPT. Okay. Here is something that we can do with ChatGPT. If using the correct prompt, I can do something like this. And I am just going to show you, I'm just going to share with you the prompt that I have here. Okay, you can copy it and use it. And here is the advantage. Look at this. I say, assume that you are an expert in teaching English for people in Latin America to prepare students for the IELTS test. I'm going to ask you to, Samuel.
Por supuesto. Estoy listo para ayudarte con tu preparación para el IELTS. Soy un experto en enseñar inglés y estoy aquí para ayudarte a mejorar tu pronunciación y expresión. Empecemos. ¿Cuál es tu nivel actual de inglés y qué área específica te gustaría trabajar para la entrevista del IELTS?
Okay, I'm really interested in passing the IELTS as a requisite for the university where I work. And look at this. It will give me.
Great. It sounds like you're interested in passing the IELTS as a requirement for the university where you work. Just a quick correction. The correct term is IELTS, International English Language Testing System, instead of IELTS.
How do I get this? How do I get to talk to ChatGPT? In the Chrome Web Store in Google, that is this, I am going to get something that is called Voice Control for ChatGPT. Okay? So go to the, I'm going to copy, yes, I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it. Go, create it, use it, and let me know if it helps you. I am practicing Portuguese. Okay, you can use any language. You can use, for example, preparation for interviews, and it will give you feedback constantly. Okay. I know time is short, but I hope that this will open the possibilities for you for the things that I just explained. Thank you very, very much, everyone.
Dear Yon, thank you again. We all know that this artificial intelligence is indeed here to stay, and I think this will be a good space to serve as a driver to dig more about artificial intelligence. So we're kind of in the first presentation, we kind of we're seeing artificial intelligence when we cannot do it by ourselves, thinking carefully with a grain of salt to deal with it. But now we have a different perspective. I know how to do it, but with artificial intelligence, I can make it more efficiently and effectively. Should I go and use it? Well, we have a next presentation, right, Angelica?
Yes, yes, we do. So let's listen to the information of our next speaker.
Rafael Alberto Hernandez Cuesta, an industrial engineer and master in senior management of educational services, currently serves as a professor at the Escuela Nacional del Deporte in Cali. Proficient in both English and Spanish, he brings extensive experience in teaching at various academic levels. His research focuses on bilingual curriculum design and language policies. As a dedicated educator, he is a permanent member of the Colombian Association of English Teachers, ASOSOPI, and has held significant roles such as the former national coordinator of the Spanish as a Foreign Language Network, ENRI-ELV. Additionally, he actively contributes to academic publications and frequently participates as a speaker at conferences and other scholarly events.
Okay, so welcome, Professor Hernandez. Are you ready?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. Let me share my presentation. Well, good. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much to all the audience. And well, let's begin because, you know, God's ticking. So as the avatar said, my name is Rafael Hernandez. I'm a full-time professor at Escuela Nacional de Deporte in Cali. And now, my presentation is called Artificial Intelligence in Education, an Ally or an Adversary. Many things have been said, not only today, but in other sessions, in other lectures, about how the artificial intelligence can be used in education and in other aspects of human life. And well, it comes to me like what kind of role is going to play artificial intelligence in our lives? Well, it all depends. So, first of all, I would like to share this video. Let me present the video here. 1 second. I'm moving this one. Okay. So here. Can you see my screen, people? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Yes, we
Okay,
can.
good. So this video is artificial intelligence, how will it impact the future of education? Here we go.
Exam grades are expected to return to normal this year for the first time since the pandemic. But something else has been spreading into classrooms that isn't going away.
So I would particularly like to use it for my English work.
AI, artificial intelligence tools, are increasingly being used by pupils who've gone online for help with their work.
I use it a lot for online homework, revision tools, so if I need any additional support, maybe I don't want to ask my teacher or it's something that she can't give me, it is available like whenever I need it on like AI programs.
I would say a large proportion of school children do use AI, especially for homework.
This is the type of thing students can use AI for. It can write essays within a matter of seconds and save teachers time with lesson planning. There are benefits, but obvious concerns.
There definitely needs to be government regulation, especially from a safeguarding point of view. What is appropriate use in the classroom? How can they learn from it? How can they get better understanding of concepts? But actually, what is cheating and what is good practice?
And is there concern that pupils are using it to cheat?
There is concern, absolutely, because teachers haven't been equipped with what they need in terms of pulling together that understanding. So they need that support so that they can spot it.
66% of teachers believe they're regularly receiving work written by AI. More than half want better training in it, and 31% want the government to introduce regulation to police its use. A government spokesperson told us artificial intelligence has the potential to transform education, and they've launched an online consultation on the benefits and risks. How to make the best use of rapidly advancing technology is a question for school leaders and politicians. Becky Johnson, Sky News.
So, as we could see, there's a lot of concerns about how to use artificial intelligence in the classrooms, and there are different opinions from teachers, politicians, educators, education policy makers, etc., etc. So now we are going to just take a little review of what probably my colleagues have already said about this. And well, we have to understand that artificial intelligence is no more than a tool. And since it is a tool, it is there to be used, right? I understand that sometimes some tools get to be satanized, and well, it happens with the dictionaries, it happens with the online translators, it happens with internet, etc., etc. But yet, we as educators have a very important role on how to use these resources in terms of what our students need. And well, that is something that we have to always keep in mind. It is like what is the use that we're going to give to these resources, to these tools. Now, it is it is not a question of the doubt that there are some requirements in terms of teacher training, because sometimes the teachers are reluctant to use of these resources because they are not well trained in the use, and because their opinions might be a little bit wrong. As we watched on the video, most of 60 something% of the educators think that they are getting homework or written work from artificial intelligence, but it has not yet been proven. So we tend to think that probably our students are using this to cheat, but still we are not trained to use the tool and to prove that our students are actually cheating. So teacher training is something that needs to be addressed, not necessarily as an individual point of view, but also as a team of educators anywhere, because this artificial intelligence is staying here, is here to stay, and is here to be used. There's also something that needs to be taken into account, which is the quality standards. I'm sorry for my typo. I didn't write the D. The quality standards assurance for the use of these tools, which is something that we also need to keep in mind. It is not a matter of what to use, but how to use it, and how well is it going to be used. Of course, if there's a lack of teacher training, there's also a lack of students training. So this is something that we as educators, as sometimes education policymakers and politicians, and as citizens, we need to keep in mind at all times. Now, there's certainly something today, especially after the pandemic and the lockdown, which is the only certain thing is uncertainty. So there's nothing 100% certain. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what is going to happen in 15 minutes time, because we are all living in a VUCA world. V is volatile, U is uncertain, C is complex, and A is ambiguous. So in this VUCA environment that we as educators are moving every single day, especially as I mentioned, after the lockdown, after the pandemic, well, we need to adapt our practices. The students of today are not the same students of yesterday, and not the same students, certainly not the same students at 10 years ago. The way we teach today is certainly not the same way that we were taught. So we need to adapt, and we need to be open-minded to the change, because change is there. And one of those changes that we need to embrace is definitely artificial intelligence. Now, how? That would be a very good question. And this how depends on the very particular conditions of every single institution, of every single class, of every single course, because what is happening in one part of the world is not the same of what is happening in other part of the world. And we can be successful for one group, definitely cannot be successful in other groups. Remember that in social sciences, the research cannot be extrapolated. So we need to understand the very unique conditions of every single group, every single class. And given those very singular and unique conditions, we are going to adapt the use of these resources to it. Now, probably, as I said before, this was mentioned by my colleagues, How does the artificial intelligence work? It is trained with huge amounts of mostly written data extracted from news, websites, Wikipedia, blogs, social media, and other sources, and it's feeding constantly the amount of information, the amount of data that artificial intelligence is constantly using. Now, what can you do with that? What can you do with artificial intelligence? They can perform tasks such as translation, summarizing, mind mapping, scheme generation, model-based questions generation, etc., etc. So, as the video mentioned, some teachers even rely on planning to the artificial intelligence, and probably you are thinking, okay, so this artificial intelligence could in the future, in the near future, replace the teachers? So that is a very good question, and it undergoes under what kind of training are we having? What kind of training are we giving to our students? What kind of teachers and educators we are? So we need to be very careful at the first time, but we also need to embrace change. Change is here to stay. COVID-19 pandemic was a very good example that we could survive, we could like create a resilient sense on adapting to new and very fast changing conditions, especially in education. Now, what are the challenges? Because we know that this is something that is real. This is something that is trendy. Many people are talking about this, but there are some challenges implicit on this, which is to detect the ambiguities that this artificial intelligence is bringing to our work, especially from educators to students and from students to educators. We also need some companies are working on artificial intelligence that are going to be in the short term capable to detect emotions. So you saw the avatar at the beginning of my presentation and at the beginning of every single colleague's presentation, and it was an avatar which showed no emotions. But probably in the near future, this artificial intelligence is going to detect and show emotions, which is going to be a little complicated for the ones who are reluctant to use these kinds of technologies. And there's also another challenge implicit for these technologies, which is the natural language processing, or NLP, because languages are changing all the time because they're inherent to the human nature, and as inherent to human nature, they're constantly changing. And so artificial intelligence needs to adapt and readapt, construct and deconstruct these changing situations in the natural language process. So basically, this is what is artificial intelligence. Now, my question at the very beginning of my presentation was an ally or an adversary. In order to identify which side of the equation we as educators are, we need to evaluate the pros and cons before applying, because I know it's trendy. I know everybody's talking about this. I know many people are using it, but what are the pros and what are the cons, and what are the contexts that are happening around the use of this artificial intelligence? It is not the same to use artificial intelligence in a context like, for example, the Escuela Nacional del Deporte, and even inside the Escuela Nacional del Deporte, from physiotherapy to people from administration. Probably their needs are different. And if you talk about a very changing and mega diverse country like Colombia, the needs from a student at the Escuela Nacional del Deporte are definitely not the same than the needs from a student in the rural areas of Valle del Cauca, for example, just to cite one example. So we need to understand that this is a resource that needs to be intelligently used, and before we apply it, we need to have a pilot testing process. So in order to understand how it works, we need to begin by baby steps. We cannot go extremely to the point, like diving from head to toe, because that would be kind of problematic at the end if the results were not the ones that we expected. So a pilot testing is definitely necessary in every single area or in every single scenario that we as educators are going to be applying this artificial intelligence. There's also, after this pilot testing and understanding how it works and understanding our students' needs, of course, we need to perform trials and we need to perform evaluation. You know that the evaluation is a process that is not only on our practices and the knowledge itself, but also on the resources that we're using inside our classrooms. So, of course, everything that we use in a classroom is subjected to be evaluated, even ourselves. So it is a very good example that we are all summoned together, listening to some colleagues and having insights from other perspectives. And that is part of what the evaluation process is to listen to other people and to be able to open our minds to new perspectives in order for us to improve our pedagogical practices. Of course, there's something that needs to be addressed, which is the assessment. And this assessment is not only, doesn't need only to be addressed from educators, but also from politicians, from the Ministry of Education, for example, in Colombia. There needs to be like a proposal from some academic committees and academic groups that definitely the assessment needs to be addressed as individuals, but also as collective of teachers, because this will definitely impact our pedagogical practices and will definitely impact the learning processes of our students. When we do the evaluation processes and we do the assessment and we create criteria to assess and we create evaluation criteria, then we need to identify the possible risks attained to these, the use of these new technologies. Of course, there's always going to be the risk of cheating, but my question is cheating only happening today, or is cheating something inherent to the human behavior? Now, that question is going to be, I mean, the answer to the question may be painful, because cheating and the possibility of cheating and the possibility of changing the results is something that has happened historically in the educational processes. So supposing that the artificial intelligence is the only one that is promoting, fostering the cheating in a group of students is kind of naive, just to say that, because we cannot be as innocent as to think that our students didn't cheat before the artificial intelligence. And so there's other risks like the copyrights, depending on your position on copyrights, because, you know, with the copyright thing, there are two different positions. Some people suppose that the knowledge should be democratic and the copyright should not exist at all. And some others defend that copyright in terms of defending the right of a person to defend their work. Then, after we have performed all of these processes, then we can get to know the potential uses inside a classroom, having into consideration the thing that every single classroom is a different scenario, and whether you have, I'm sorry, there's a microphone on. Okay, thank you very much. So sometimes you have a course, supposedly English 4, and then you have in English 4 from 6 to 8 p.m. and then you have English 4 from 8 to 10 p.m. And what happens at the first course is different from what happens in the other course. So everything is different, you know, so you need to adapt and readapt your practices and your resources. Then you do exploration processes and a permanent evaluation. If you have questions, you can interrupt me at any time. Now,
thank you, Rafael. Questions will be at the end of some later on moments, and there is 1 minute more to close.
Okay, good. I'm about to finish. I'm taking like 5 or 6 minutes. So I took something that Noam Chomsky said in 2023, and I know Noam Chomsky is a very famous and trendy and heard person. And he said that to be useful, ChatGPT, which is one of the elements of artificial intelligence, must be empowered to generate novel-looking output, to be acceptable to most of its users, it must steer clear of morally objectionable content. So basically what Noam Chomsky is saying is that this element, this resource needs to be clear enough as to be used inside a classroom without interrupting the moral and the ethics of the learning and teaching process, which is something, if I might say, utopic, because, well, we wish we could have an element which didn't like cross into the ethics and the morals of the process, because, as I said before, cheating and other immoral and unethical practices have existed throughout the history of the pedagogical practices. And one thing that I'm always telling my colleagues is that every single class is a symphony, and we are kind of the directors of that symphony. So we have to know what is the style of every single student. We also need to know our style, and definitely if your style crashes with the use of new technologies, new information and communication technologies, you don't need to be worried about. So you don't need to use it. I mean, if the things that you've been using have proven to be effective, why to change it? I mean, why inventing the wheel if the wheel has already been invented? But the good thing about this, the use of these resources, is that you can learn. And we as educators are always eager to learn. And that is what is, I think, the most beautiful thing of our practices, is that we are always willing to learn new things. I have to confess that I've been trying to learn a lot of things from artificial intelligence, and nevertheless, I have learned some things. There's a myriad of other resources that I haven't even heard of, and I haven't tried. So the work ahead is really interesting, and that could be an interesting exercise, at least to explore these resources for us to get to know what's new, what's trendy around the world. Now, this is a very good exercise of what is happening to ChatGPT. You have two pictures, and the picture on the left was posted by a user on X, former Twitter social network. And this looks like a dog concert when you realize it's a cotton harvester. So this is not people. This is just a cotton harvester in a cotton field in the United States. But if you don't look at it like very carefully, you can confuse it with people. And on the right, when ChatGPT was asked to perform this task and talk about what is this, the prompt was the picture, and the question was, what is this? The ChatGPT said, and I quote, the image shows a large crowd of people gathered at night, likely at an outdoor event or concert. The scene is illuminated by strong lights, possibly stage lighting. At the back, there appears to be a structure that could be part of a stage set up with equipment or decorations contributing to the atmosphere of a live performance or festival. So you see that it was completely opposite to what was really happening on the picture. And this is a very good example of the speaking prompts at international testing systems, where a student is shown a picture and the student needs to talk about the picture, to make a description of the picture. So if the test is online and this picture is shown online, and then the student copies the image and asks the ChatGPT in order to perform the online test, the answer is going to be completely wrong. So we cannot rely 100% on technology at all. That is the moral of this exercise. Now, the question at the beginning of the presentation: artificial intelligence, an ally or an adversary? My answer to you is that the answer, excuse me, okay, thank you. An ally or an adversary, and the answer is in our very own hands, dear teachers. So every single person, every single educator has the power to make the decision of using ChatGPT or artificial intelligence at all in your pedagogical practices, but it's your decision to make. All right, so I have a slide here. If you have any questions, that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dear Rafael. Thank you so much. Very enriching. With this, we have covered the 3 presentations. And I think if we can think of a summary, we can just jump from artificial intelligence, use it when we cannot do it by ourselves. Then we jump to a second presentation on the idea that I know how to do it, but with artificial intelligence, I can make it more effectively and efficiency. Rafael, out of the different perspectives, I can think of innovation, on the process of innovation. Think, try it, evaluate it, and refine it, and just continue doing it. Yes, artificial intelligence is here to stay. We can also say is to do it, to use it. The thing is, as a tool, as a resource, or as a new paradigm for education. We will see. In a nutshell, artificial intelligence. Don't worry, but be careful. Angelica, tell me, what's next?
Can you see my screen? All right, so we also ask our last source, that is ChatGPT, right? So Professor Alexander, can you please read what the answer was, please? Your microphone, please.
¿Cómo la inteligencia artificial transforma la educación? Tratamos de que esto fuese en 100 palabras y nuestra amiga o amigo, no sé cuál sería el género, pero la inteligencia artificial revoluciona la educación al personalizar el aprendizaje, adaptándose a las necesidades individuales de los estudiantes. Plataformas educativas impulsadas por inteligencia artificial ofrecen contenido personalizado, evaluaciones instantáneas y retroalimentación precisa. Asistentes virtuales facilitan la tutoría y resuelven dudas en tiempo real. Además, la inteligencia artificial facilita el análisis de grandes cantidades de datos para identificar patrones de rendimiento y mejorar estrategias pedagógicas. Estos avances promueven un aprendizaje más eficiente, accesible e inclusivo, preparando a los estudiantes para los desafíos de un mundo digital en constante cambio.
Ok, pero también le preguntamos cuáles son los retos y desafíos que trae pues la inteligencia artificial, la implementación y el uso en las prácticas educativas, y la respuesta que obtuvimos fue: la inteligencia artificial, si no se implementa de manera adecuada, puede generar desafíos en la educación. La dependencia excesiva de tecnología puede deshumanizar el aprendizaje, reduciendo la interacción interpersonal crucial para el desarrollo social y emocional de los estudiantes. La brecha digital puede ampliarse, excluyendo a aquellos que carecen de acceso a recursos tecnológicos. Además, la falta de regulaciones éticas y preocupaciones sobre la privacidad pueden generar desconfianza en el uso de la inteligencia artificial en entornos educativos. Es esencial abordar estos problemas para asegurar que la inteligencia artificial beneficie y no retrase el proceso educativo. Estas fueron las respuestas que obtuvimos al preguntarle también a una de las herramientas más comunes hoy en día, que es ChatGPT. Y pues quisimos abordar las dos caras de la moneda, hablando de oportunidades, pero también hablando de los retos y pues los desafíos que ello trae. Y como sabemos que tenemos varias preguntas del público, vamos a darle paso a nuestra audiencia. Sabemos que durante las presentaciones varios profesores y asistentes pues escribieron su pregunta en el chat, entonces vamos a dar el espacio para que las puedan pues socializar.
¿Te parece si en el orden que podamos identificarte de 3, nos tomamos los próximos 8 o 10 minutos en el orden que vayan levantando la mano? ¿Están de acuerdo, audiencia? Podemos entonces empezar levantando la mano y diré los
O si
nombres.
quieren escribir la pregunta en el chat, también podemos socializarla. Si tienen preguntas puntuales para nuestros invitados, para nuestros ponentes, también lo pueden hacer por medio del chat o abriendo el micrófono. ¿Y por qué no la cámara?
Bueno, si no tenemos manos, tenemos...
No, yo vi muchas preguntas en el chat.
Creo que John Alejandro está intentando decir algo, pero no lo podemos escuchar, ¿verdad?
John Alejandro.
Ledesma. John Alejandro, tu micrófono está abierto, pero no te podemos escuchar. Debes tal vez cambiar el origen del micrófono
¿Qué tal? ¿Qué
en la
tal
parte
ahí?
de eso. Ahora sí.
Ahora sí.
Okay, thank you for the invitation, and I am really glad for being here in this amazing presentation. In fact, artificial intelligence is one of my favorite topics. I'd really like to propose to you, to the organizers, to open up to create a WhatsApp group, and maybe we can consider to create a research group for this topic about the applications of AI and on education, not only for languages, that would be also for engineering and also other topics, because this as the speaker said, this topic is, this technology is to stay forever, at least in our life span. So I think it's quite interesting for us to keep studying. And of course, all of us, we are quite interested in this kind of subject. So this is the opportunity, because we are all ready together in this presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could use the create, and someone could bring the link for the WhatsApp group on the chat, and let's get into it.
Okay,
sure.
another strategy that I'm trying to adjust now, because we didn't ask for the phone number in our, well, we will ask for the emails. So we send the picture of the QR or the link for the group, and we do it through email. I'm trying to adjust our template for the attendance and adapt the email so we can just record it there.
Sure. Okay, and here we have a question. It says, like, ¿cómo se puede valorar el aspecto ético a partir del uso de la inteligencia artificial en las labores académicas? No sé, Ricardo, si la pregunta va dirigida para algún ponente en especial o quieres que los tres den respuesta. O no sé si Rafael, Lina o John nos quieran responder. Dale, Rafael.
Cuando se habla del asunto ético, me viene a la mente algo que también está muy de moda en las conversaciones, especialmente en enseñanza de lenguas, y es el elemento intercultural. Entonces, cuando se habla del elemento intercultural, entonces hay unas posturas que intentan crear como una serie de criterios específicos para poder medir la apropiación intercultural en nuestras clases de lenguas, y sigo insistiendo en que es algo demasiado complejo como para circunscribirlo a una cantidad de criterios en particular, y que sigue, digamos, primando allí cuáles son las necesidades de nuestros estudiantes y qué clase de música o qué clase de pieza musical quiero yo tener en cada una de las sinfonías que es cada una de nuestras clases. Hago, digamos, esta contextualización porque en el asunto ético también se complejiza un poco el asunto, dado que pues, la ética se evidencia, no se estudia ni se discute, y allí entonces pienso que el trabajo es un trabajo bastante retador para nosotros como profesores, porque sin duda alguna este tema de la inteligencia artificial trae unas posibilidades, pero también trae unos desafíos a la hora del uso de estas herramientas, y especialmente en lo que tiene que ver con derechos de autor y con la autenticidad de los trabajos de los estudiantes. Entonces pienso que este asunto de la ética se debe tratar de forma muy individual en cada una de las clases, haciéndole entender a nuestros estudiantes e incluso entendiendo nosotros que hay unas líneas que definitivamente no se pueden cruzar y que no se deben cruzar, en el sentido de que es probable que la herramienta me permita hacer muchas cosas, pero es como si yo tomara un bate para destruir cosas y no para jugar béisbol. Entonces hago, digamos, esta analogía para que podamos entenderlo de una forma más fácil, y es que la inteligencia artificial es un recurso, pero no podemos darle un uso indiscriminado. Por eso en la presentación que yo hacía les mostraba que hay que hacer un análisis de los riesgos potenciales, y definitivamente el asunto ético es un riesgo que se debe considerar. Entonces, allí esa discusión debe darse de una forma franca, de una forma directa, de una forma transparente, no solamente entre docentes, sino también con los estudiantes y con quienes estén a cargo de hacer las políticas educativas, porque esta es una discusión que tiene que trascender desde nuestras aulas de clase y tiene que ir hasta todos los ámbitos, incluso de la sociedad.
Muchas gracias, profesor Rafael. Y tenemos otra pregunta en el chat de David Díaz. Dice, is education the same than virtual education? If not, how can we think of them equally related to AI? No sé si John o Lina nos quieren ayudar respondiendo esta pregunta.
¿Dónde es que está? No la veo.
La pregunta en el chat.
Está en el chat.
Is education the same than virtual education? If not, how can we think of them equally related to AI?
¿La puedes copiar y pegarla al último del chat para tenerla como referencia?
Sure.
Sí, estamos.
All right.
No sé si alguno de mis compañeros quiera responder también. Yo lo que pienso es que la educación virtual, muy a pesar de que virtual signifique también que no es verdadera, es una forma de educación. Creo que simplemente es una variante que impone unos retos muy particulares, especialmente no solamente para los estudiantes. Yo creo que lo que dije sigue siendo vital, y es que en un proceso de aprendizaje existe un compromiso entre ambos, el estudiante y digamos, el maestro. Y en la educación virtual pues se pone aún más en perspectiva y toma un papel más importante pues estos deseos de ambas partes, ¿no? Porque es mucho más fácil, digamos, hacer trampas o no aparecer o cosas de ese estilo. Entonces, volvemos un poco a la responsabilidad de, pues, meternos un poco en estos procesos de aprendizaje por nuestra cuenta. Esa es la primera cosa que me gustaría decir. Y la otra es algo que también comentó una persona aquí más adelante, y es que la educación virtual va a desempeñar un papel muy importante para cerrar las brechas, digamos, sociales, ojalá, digamos, en lugares a los que la educación, digamos, común le es inaccesible, como zonas muy rurales, ¿cierto? Entonces creo que, digamos, tiene esa doble cara, una que es la parte de responsabilidad tanto del estudiante como de la profesora que se mete a integrar este proceso de aprendizaje, y la otra que es más fácil, ¿no? Comunicar a través de la virtualidad, y que eso puede desempeñar un rol importante en enseñarle a todos.
Muchas
Ya.
gracias. Muchas gracias, Lina. Yo no sé si quieras añadir algo.
Sí, me uno a lo que han dicho mis compañeros sobre ese tema de educación virtual. Yo pienso que es una herramienta que le abrió la posibilidad a muchísimas personas que antes no tenían la forma de desplazarse físicamente a un espacio, le abrió la oportunidad a otras personas de adquirir conocimientos nuevos a través de todo este tema de la virtualidad. Consigo trae ventajas y desventajas. Para Latinoamérica ha sido un problema tenaz porque no estábamos acostumbrados a tener la responsabilidad, sino que venimos de un modelo educativo donde siempre tenemos a alguien que nos dice qué hacer y siempre está vigilando, siempre está, como decimos aquí, encima presionando para que nosotros trabajemos sobre algo, mientras que la virtualidad nos dijo simple y sencillamente, aquí están los contenidos, vamos a avanzar en esto, tenemos una sesión específica, un momento sincrónico con el maestro, donde vas a resolver dudas y esta es la prueba y este es el producto que tienes que presentar. No veníamos acostumbrados a eso y yo creo que ese ha sido como uno de los choques más grandes que hemos tenido con todo este tema de la educación virtual en muchísimas partes. Obviamente también agregando problemas que tuvimos al inicio de pandemia, de conectividad, de disponibilidad de accesos, etcétera, etcétera, pero creo que se ha avanzado muchísimo en esa parte aquí en el país.
Bueno, muchas gracias. No sé si Rafael.
Yo quisiera agregar el hecho de que, digamos, la pregunta está enfocada en si la inteligencia artificial podría trascender en ambas modalidades. Yo diría que sí. De hecho, pues se está probando que eso ocurre. Ahora bien, el impacto de este recurso en ambas modalidades está por revisarse y se revisa a nivel individual en cada una de las particularidades de cada una de las sesiones y de los grupos en los que nosotros estemos desarrollando nuestras prácticas pedagógicas, pero sin duda la inteligencia artificial tiene cabida tanto en la educación face-to-face, en la presencial, como en la educación virtual, como en los modelos blended, como en los modelos que estén por salir. Yo pienso que como lo dije en mi presentación, es un recurso y es una tecnología que está aquí y creo que está aquí para quedarse.
Así como la educación virtual también llegó para quedarse y que después de pandemia nos dimos cuenta de el impacto y de que es necesario pues empezar a manejar y a utilizar más estos recursos, porque como bien lo dijeron, creo que fue Lina, el tema de la inclusión, ya que la educación virtual pues permite llegar a lugares que antes no se podía. Entonces también tiene muchísimas ventajas y oportunidades.
Casi estamos en el cierre, pero como nos lo pidieron, comparto en el chat la oportunidad de incluirnos a un grupo. Se llama, lo acabo de abrir y todos simplemente podemos unirnos. Artificial Intelligence Adunat, conversatorio 2023. Podemos entonces unirnos ahí en este momento.
Bueno, y también para cerrar, queremos presentarles los resultados de las respuestas del público en cuanto a la pregunta ¿Is Artificial Intelligence Transforming Education? Donde les pedimos que utilizaran 5 palabras clave para definir este proceso. Y las palabras o los resultados que obtuvimos fueron los siguientes. Las palabras que pues más se repitieron fueron challenge, access, creativity, innovation, yes, but a race for education, general information, new ways of teaching, accuracy, optimizar, skilling, knowledge, absolutely yes, dramatic change, precise, replacing teachers, assimilation, interacción, transformation, providing teaching ideas, future, definitely, curiosity, yes, it is, progress, technology, new approach education, creatividad, resolution, time solving, of course, tool, opportunities. So I think we have a lot of results and like positive, like keywords, but also like a couple of like challenge and opportunities to learn. Okay.
Tenemos en estos momentos ya el link de la asistencia. Sé que en un momento tuvimos hasta 75. Seguramente pues otros compromisos están en el cierre y ya enviamos en un segundo el link para la evaluación del evento.
Sorry, Mr. Alexander, please, could I see something later? Is that I don't see the icon where I could raise my hand. It's a kind of comment. Yeah.
Be the moment. So this is the moment, please go on.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's a pleasure to to be with you guys. Yeah, I'm honest. I'm Kenyan, but I've been in Colombia for quite a long period. Yeah, some teachers are with the UNAD University and also some other universities around in Bogota. It's really been pressure. I was listening to all your presentations, so amazing. So it's up to the mark for all of you as the presenters. And my short kind of emphasis that I would like to comment as a compliment to what I text there is based on what you're asking, that as teachers, in many cases, we are worried that maybe within the AI, the students could be engaging themselves on cheating and all those kind of things. And of course, with teaching, they won't be engaging themselves in the learning processes as well, because the aftermath of learning is that they've been in a position to apply what they have learned, maybe posteriorly in their professional life. And for the short period or long term that I've been in Colombia, I've seen that most of the students, especially that are graduating, the recent graduates, most of them really are so incompetent when they come to the fields. Not all of them actually, but you can detect that because some of them, when they engage themselves in the learning, they get the knowledge from here, to come out from here. They are just presenting the exams and so on just for the purpose of the graduation or to comply with the basic requirements of the institution. But the moment they graduate, they come out, they start working with a particular entrepreneurial companies. Then within the probation period, they are incompetent, is noticed, and then they are just released. Okay, guys, we can see that you're not competent in the field, so we are sorry. Why? Because most of them, they got used on that style of just learning for the moment without learning for life. And that's why I always tell my students, that definition I just came from with Kenya, I always tell my students that education is that which remains after everything has been forgotten. So once I tell that education is that which remains in our brain after everything has been forgotten, that means that we learn for life. And so with the occurrence of the AI, I think the most important thing is that to form ourselves, we need to apply a lot of ethics and the moral part of it. To tell them, sure, you need to form your conscience, so that you don't engage. You understand that AI is just a tool that is going to help us in our learning processes, but it's not going to be the end in itself. It's just a tool. So once they understand that, they'll not be engaging in an easier way of learning, but it just be complementing their learning processes. And of course, the presence of the teachers will be inevitable, however much we advance with the AI, simply because, as you know, the AI does not really create the content as such. The AI, through the software, it does the processing of the different data that are from the different sources that have been created by the teachers or other experts. So by that, we understand that our role as teachers will still remain a protagonist in the field of teaching. So let's continue encouraging our students that they take the positive part of AI, and of course, they'll be in a position to apply it in the best way part. Because we know, for instance, when I ask my students sometimes to use the AI and all that, I tell them, but be aware that I am capable to detect when you have used the AI. The GPT, for instance, if you use, I'll be in a position to know that you have used. And for that, like also in the UNAD, we have other system of detecting the program and all those kind of stuff. So I think however much we ascend or we progress, I think our role as teachers will be crucial to form our students in terms of their conscience so that they can use these tools in the best way possible. So thank you so much in the different lines that you have done the presentation. That's Elena, John, Angelica, and Rafael Adozo, Alexander. Thank you so much.
Alex is fine, Ernest.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I have an idea just before closing. There are still 55 participants. Can we just stop sharing the screen and we just kind of take a picture? If we can turn off, those who want, of course, take the picture of the event so we can just keep it in our memories. Also, we will be recording the attendance. Based on the attendance, we sent a certification of participation here in the event. We can see the correct link now in the chat, right, Angelica? I think.
No, it's not there. Oh, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much. And I have to say that I love the participants and especially the contributions from the spokespeople today. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. Y que todos prendamos la cámara.
Háganle.
Que sea una
prendan la-
oportunidad para vernos nuevamente.
Claro, tal vez sea uno de esos momentos más humanos que la nueva era nos pone. Tomarnos una foto que aparezcan nuestros rostros.
Así es.
Alex, quería pues, extender mi agradecimiento a ustedes por la preparación del evento. Muy bien concebido el evento, la preparación de los presentes estuvo magnífica y creo que ahora nos toca a nosotros como docentes de inglés asimilar los cambios que se están presentando. Embrace the things that we have with the AI now and try to use them in the classrooms, right? Muchísimas gracias por el evento. Perfecto.
Thank you.
Estuvo genial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, entonces, everybody, say cheese.
Bueno, say cheese now.
Igualmente agradecer a todos la participación y al INVIL por atender a esta convocatoria. Muchas gracias por asistir a este evento de la zona. Invitados para la próxima. Un abrazo grande.
A ti,
Gracias
Lina.
Alexander, gracias Angélica.
A ti,
Gracias.
por el apoyo y la confianza. Un abrazo.
No
Gracias.
olviden completar el enlace de asistencia para que les enviemos el certificado. Thank you very much, guys.
Perfecto. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Rafa, Lina, John, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was amazing.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you very much.
for the invitation. Thank you. It's nice to see you all.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye.